a team can knee it out, give the other offense basically no time at all left, where it's impossible for them to rush down the field, and they run the ball. I mean, you're asking for it at this point. I don't understand it. It makes for an exciting game, but it's one of those where it's like, Oregon, like, what are you trying to accomplish?
Oregon, dude, I don't get it. They had every opportunity in the world to win this game. They fumbled the ball inside their 5, which led to a touchdown for Stanford, which led the whole comeback. Oregon should have won this game by 20 points.
Yeah,
they found a way to blow the game. Stanford's undefeated now, and now they have a big matchup coming up against Notre Dame, and Stanford might be the team of destiny. I think Stanford's the team of destiny because they just keep finding ways to win games. Yeah, I don't know.
What I was going to say, too, is Oregon played really well. I mean, they had a bunch of mistakes this game, but their offense was humming in the first half. And
Justin Herbert's the real deal.
Yeah, they played really well this game, and, I mean, coaching, as much as you hate to say, coaching let them down.
Yeah, Justin Herbert's the real deal. Stanford, congrats to you. You guys found a way to win, and once you got into overtime, I mean, Oregon, you got to fix that. Once you get into overtime, you got to move on. You got to win the game. Stanford didn't care. They won the game.
Yeah.
Hostile territory. Big win for Stanford.
We can say this was an Oregon loss much more than it was a Stanford win.
This is the most Oregon thing I've ever seen. They will continue the winning streak to 0 national championships this year.
All right. Next one, another kind of heartbreaker of a game.
Army, Oklahoma.
Yep, Army, Oklahoma.
So first off, my big question is, why is this game on pay-per-view?
I don't know.
Who wants to watch this game besides Oklahoma fans?
I almost
and a few Army fans.
Was hoping that Army would win just so I know that there were, a bunch of Oklahoma fans that paid like $35 just to see their team get beat by Army.
That would be so sad.
But it didn't happen. Man, it's one of those where it's like, it's so frustrating because Oklahoma most likely ends the season undefeated and knocks off one of Bama or Georgia, and it's like they should have lost to Army.
I don't think they're going to beat them. They could win the Big 12 this year. I do not see them competing in the playoffs right now.
If they win out,
I still think
how are
Kyler
you going to
Murray's
say
a dynamic
no?
player. I think Kyler Murray is one of the best athletes in the last 15 years. Like, not best players, best athletes in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see them upsetting Bama or Georgia this year. I could see maybe Georgia. We can talk about Georgia later. I'm not really sold on Georgia yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have some things to say about that later. But I'm just saying, if Oklahoma goes undefeated, wins their conference, how are they not in the playoffs?
Oh, they're going to be in the playoffs. I agree. They should be in the playoffs if you win the Big 12. There's another team in the Big 12 that's soaring is West Virginia. West Virginia looked great this weekend. Will Grier is really gearing up for a Heisman. I don't really have anything to say about the game. I just want to say West Virginia is going under the radar, and they're playing their ass off.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting after that Oklahoma Army game to see, especially where the committee puts them at, because they should definitely be below.
They lost.
What, number 5?
I think they are 6. I think they're 6, right?
Yeah,
they're 6. They're number 6. They lost the spot to LSU. LSU jumped to 5 in the AP. 3 is Ohio State.
But does 6? I mean, is 6 enough? They almost lost to an unranked Army team. Is 6 enough?
It don't matter. The AP poll doesn't even matter anyway. All that matters is that college football playoff poll.
Yeah.
I mean, don't look into that
that's
too
definitely
much.
true. But I just thought it was interesting. All right. Definitely, I think you're pretty excited about Benny Snell and this Kentucky team.
I'm really excited about this. So if you want, I got a big blog coming out. I guess by the time this is posted, you can check out the blog. Got an SEC recap week 4. Big SEC guy. Benny Snell Jr., Cash Daniels, this Kentucky team led by Mark Stoops. They're the real deal. This team can win the SEC East. They went. Kroger Field was rocking. This is probably one of the biggest wins in Kentucky football history, beating a top 15 team in Mississippi State. This Mississippi State team had Dan Mullen coming into town for a big rivalry, big time revenge game. And I don't want to say that they overlooked Kentucky, but Kentucky beat the living hell out of them.
Kentucky popped them on the chin. They didn't know what happened.
They beat them in every aspect of the game. Defense, offense, special team. Benny Snell ran over them. I called it from Saturday morning. You can check my personal Twitter. I'm not giving out my personal Twitter right now.
Yeah.
I called it.
Maybe when we get famous.
Yeah, I called it, and I was pumped. I was amped. Kentucky beat them. Cash Daniel, I love you, Cash Daniel. You're being who you are. That defense is something else, and that's the team that can compete in the SEC East.
Yeah, the only thing is watching the Benny Snell interviews and everything like that, I was like, I want to see his interview after Georgia. I mean, I'm excited for him. He played a hell of a game. They really blew up that Mississippi State team. But at the end of it's enjoy it. But now's not the time to cheer. You still have this looming presence in Georgia. I think once you face them, then you can figure out what you do with your season.
Kentucky's got the easier road, I would say.
I agree.
Play LSU in Baton Rouge.
Auburn.
Kentucky's just got to win a few games in the SEC East. I mean, if Georgia slips up against someone else besides LSU, they could beat LSU, but Kentucky's all they have to do is beat Georgia.
Yeah.
And they'll be fine.
I just didn't want, especially, a Kentucky team that for the first time in a while they've been good the past couple of years, but really relevant in SEC East talks. You still got Georgia. You still got Georgia.
You still have Georgia. Georgia, they struggled. I wouldn't say they played very well with Missouri this week. They hung on. They won the game. They got the plays they needed. They got a lot of plays. I feel like they had a very lucky game considering the turnovers that Missouri made. I want to give you all the credit in the world. You shut down Drew Lock. Mm-hmm. Drew Lock's supposed to be a first-round talent. Georgia did commit. They forced turnovers, and then they got a little help. They fumbled the ball for the second week in a row. It might have been the second week in a row, but they fumbled the ball before they've gotten into the end zone, and somehow the refs haven't called them on it.
I think, and I said this from the beginning of the year, and it kind of faltered this week, I guess, but I still feel it. I think Georgia is the best team to compete against Bama. They have an exciting quarterback in Fromm, and their defense is still a very good defense. They slipped up this week, but I think that's more of you just sometimes these really good teams, sometimes these 2, 3, 4, 5 teams can slip up. And if that's what that was, I think this Georgia team is very scary and one of the better teams in the NCAA. And I'll hold on to that until they get beaten.
That's fair. I think Georgia had to replace too many players in this offense. I saw Kirby Smart's presser. He looked worried about this team. He's not confident in this team just yet. I don't think this is a top 5 team yet. I think they're going to finish top 10. I think they'll go to the Sugar Bowl. That's kind of all I have to say with Georgia. I got one stat I want to say about Kentucky before we move on. So this is the first time that Duke and Kentucky have been ranked in the same football AP poll since September 14th, 1957. They have been ranked in the same basketball AP poll 547 times in that span.
I was about to say, how many times have they been ranked in the same basketball poll?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great win for Kentucky. I'm super excited about them, but it's one of those where they were really cocky, really braggadocious, and it's like you still have to beat Georgia.
Let them be braggadocious. They did the same thing against Florida last week.
Yeah.
They did the same thing in Florida last week, and they did all the same shit. All right, so let's move on to Bama A&M. Matt, you want to start it up, or you want me to get it going?
I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. So Bama looked like Bama. Great. Tua looked incredible. I mean, unstoppable. And it's actually really frustrating how good he looked. I just don't know. How do you even go about planning, much less stopping this team?
Yeah, I think you not underestimated, but undersold Bama. What you just said, they're being Bama. This is one of the best college football teams I've seen ever play on offense. Damian Harris is a monster at running back. Judy's probably one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen. And Tua, I don't even want to get into Tua. Tua does not miss a pass. No. He makes all the correct reads. That kid is a special talent, and he's one of those guys that can change an NFL franchise immediately. He's going to go number 1 overall in the draft. And that's just the most scary team I've seen play in college football in a long, long time.
He's clearly the best quarterback Bama has ever had. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so yeah, Damian Harris looks like a beast, but they've had Yeldon, they've had Derrick Henry, they've had Mark
Ingram. They've had the running backs.
They've had running backs.
Yeah, everybody.
They've had Amari Cooper. They've had Calvin Ridley. They've had wide receivers. They've had running backs. So their running backs and their wide receivers look good, but they've had those guys. Tua is a beast that they've never had, and I think that's what makes them the scariest. It's going to be interesting. I think they easily end up number 1. They easily make it through the first round of the playoffs. We'll see what they do in the national championship game. But this team, it's like, what do you do? What do you do?
I don't know. I don't know how you beat this team. I mean, this A&M team is a very good team. Mm-hmm. They took Clemson to the wire. Clemson's, I think, the number 2 team in the country. They're ranked number 3 or 4, depending on whatever poll you look at, based on Ohio State and Clemson. I mean, Kellen Mond is supposed to be that prototypical quarterback that's supposed to beat Bama, the guy that can get to outside the pocket, scramble, and beat them. He didn't. He got outside the pocket.
Yeah, I was going to say, he beat him a little bit,
but he couldn't finish it because Alabama's offense is just so good.
Yeah,
you can't match all those points.
I think that's the biggest problem. Is in years past you outshine Alabama offensively, but now you don't. You cannot make a mistake against Alabama's offense because they'll beat you. They're clearly in the number 1 driver's position.
I mean, they still have a tough schedule. Bama's a very, very good team.
Yeah.
But there's still some big games left. You got to go to Baton Rouge, which I'm assuming is going to be a Saturday night in Baton Rouge. And LSU has the 2 best wins in college football right now with Miami and Auburn. Mississippi, they got to play Mississippi State again. Or not again, but they have to play Mississippi State, and then you got to play Auburn end of the year, and that's a rivalry matchup. You don't know what's going to happen in those rivalry matchups.
I think for them,
they're still not guaranteed in there.
No, but not at all. And I don't think anybody in the SEC can be guaranteed. I still think for them, their big one is going to be Georgia at for the SEC championship. I think that's going to be the big teller. But it's you can't root against this Bama team, as hard as that is to say.
I'm not even putting Bama in the SEC championship yet based on that, how hard that schedule is. Dude, the SEC is a bloodbath. I'm not even putting Georgia in the SEC championship. I think I wouldn't say Kentucky's SEC East favorite, but I mean, they have the favorable schedule and they get Georgia at home.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the big upset, the Virginia Tech, Old Dominion,
baby.
Old Dominion. Man, I'll tell you what. It's not even like this Old Dominion team's good. They really aren't, but they came out with a fury. Their offense was lighting it on fire.
Yeah, they brought in the walk-on quarterback, LaRussa, I believe his name is. They scored 45 points, I believe. Virginia Tech did lose their quarterback in this game. He broke his leg, fractured tibia or something like that. Mm-hmm. Josh Jackson's a very special talent, but you cannot give up that many points to Old Dominion. Old Dominion lost 63-10 to Liberty.
Yeah.
I also don't understand why Virginia Tech's going to Norfolk to play a game at Old Dominion. I get it's in state and everything, but you can't. You're too good of a program to go to Old Dominion just yet.
I would like to point out.
I can understand if this is basketball going to Old Dominion, but this is not. You can't do that.
I would like to point out, though, that this isn't the worst upset in Virginia history. That still goes to UMBC beating Virginia 1 seed to 16 seed. Would like to point that out.
I just want to point out that UVA is probably the best